Oh, there he is.
All right.
Hey. What's up, man?
How are you?
Pleasure.
Academy Award winner, J.K.
Academy
Simmons.
Award winner.
On the show. Welcome, man.
J.K. Simmons. We
That's
realize
funny.
that much like when someone wins a championship belt in boxing or something, they're forever champ. I guess when you win an Academy Award, everyone forever is like Academy Award winner.
I don't know. Champ is a lot more tripping off the tongue.
Champ.
Academy
Champ.
Award winner. It takes a while.
Or Mr. President is another title that sticks
If
with
you're
you,
a
right?
president, you're always Mr. President.
Yeah, but you won that award.
Once
you know
a
what?
Marine, there's no such thing as an ex-Marine.
That's
either.
true.
There you go.
Yeah, good point.
But once you win an Academy Award, even as our producer Spot was saying, every movie or show you're in for the rest of your life will come with an Academy Award winner. It's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's still smiling
Especially
about it, so-
considering the first 60 years of my life.
Well, I was obviously doing our homework on you, and I'm thinking when you're in Missoula, Montana, correct?
Indeed.
Doing theater. I mean, you're doing it for the love of it. Did you ever have the dream of like, well, I'm in Montana now, but one day I'm gonna be in New York or L.A. and win awards and stuff?
Absolutely not.
No.
No. I fell in love with music first, and then musical theater, and then theater, and I thought I'd be lucky if I could teach school 9 months a year and do summer stock at the Big Fork Summer Playhouse, where I still go every summer, by the way, just to hang out.
Is that the right mentality to have? You hear a lot of successful people say, I never got in it for the fame or money. I did it because I loved it, and it just sort of happened. Is that the right mentality?
I mean, I think so. It's worked out ridiculously well for me. And actually, one of my first films was Sam Raimi, For Love of the Game. Same kind of general philosophy.
Pretty fantastic.
It has worked out. I'm not here as the movie. We're going to talk about that, but you've done so much. I want to backtrack because it's the first time we're meeting J.K. Simmons here on the Covino and Rich show. You were a pretty good athlete, right? Weren't you? Were you torn between two worlds of do I play sports or do I pursue the arts? Were you ever that guy?
Back then, it was either him or Alan Trammell at shortstop. And it was
Right.
the Detroit
Yeah,
guy.
exactly. Yeah, it was close. It was a close call. Whitaker,
like Lou Whitaker, Alan Trammell, and J.K. Simmons, and one had to go.
Right.
Whitaker dropped one feed from me, and that was it.
Yeah,
Sweet Lou, you.
You're a diehard Detroit Tigers fan.
Yeah,
we know
yeah.
that.
I was a kid in Detroit. My dad taught public school there, and then we moved to Columbus, Ohio, where he taught at Ohio State. So I have a weird double thing going on there. Detroit Tigers and Ohio State Buckeyes.
Right, those are your teams.
And I did, yeah. I mean, I was a jock when I was, in high school, but then I kind of made the, Timothy Leary decision at a certain point, turned on, tuned in, and dropped out, became a hippie freak. You kind of couldn't do both back in 1970.
I'm fascinated.
So
Well, he was a choir because you were in the choir too, right? So
I
guess
was in the choir. My dad was a choir conductor, so I sang in his church choirs, and I sang in the choir at school, and usually had one or two jock buddies in there with me,
Right.
that could sing low and still feel like they were all manly singing in the choir.
Maybe lock them doors and turn them lights down low.
I'm fascinated by that. I mean, it's changed a bunch now, but even when we were younger, you had to fight to be in both.
Right.
Because I played some sports in high school, but also
kinda had to make a choice.
in music and theater and stuff, and they were very quick to want to be like, which one? And
Yeah.
why which one?
Well,
Why not?
now
Yeah.
it's even like which sport.
Oh,
You're not allowed to do baseball, football, basketball if you're any good.
Yeah, that's true.
They want
they
you
make
to
you
focus
focus
on one thing. Yeah.
So when did you realize you had a knack for the arts? Obviously, you're doing the singing; it's in the family. Your dad's a conductor, but when acting? Like when did you? Was it at home?
Well,
was it in the mirror? When you're like, I'm pretty good at this.
I realized that I had a knack for it way before audiences acknowledged that I had a knack for it. Let me put it that way.
Right.
I was, there were some pretty rough years there in Big Fork at first.
Were you pretending to have the crocodile tears with the ladies?
No. I was fairly good at that, but couldn't translate it to the stage all that well. It took a while. There were some definite growing pains there, but I worked with some really good directors early on who were good for me at that age and that level of experience, and really, the way one thing has sort of led to another has been remarkably fortunate for me.
And again, Rich said it. You're in Montana doing stage stuff, then Seattle, then L.A., and everywhere else. Is there a lot of talent that we just don't know about? Like the people, when you look back and you think about the people you shared the stage with, yeah, you kept on and you got breaks and you earned it. Are there a lot of people you look back on and you're like, that dude was so talented, yet the world will never know?
Absolutely,
There's
man.
a ton
I love
of
that
that, right?
question because there's so many guys, from back in the day at the Big Fork Playhouse and the University of Montana and Missoula Children's Theater and here and there. That very talented guys who
that you probably learned from too.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, and who shared the same passion. But at a certain point, I mean, really one of the things that worked out for me was that I was such an immature little dumbass that I didn't have any responsibilities. All those years that I was making $200 a week, and then waiting tables or doing whatever in between acting jobs, I didn't have a wife and kids to support.
Right.
Most of my friends kind of grew up and had to get responsible before I did. I was 43 when our son was born. 41 when my wife and I got married, and by that time I was finally making a living.
So yeah, it's a matter of outlasting a lot of people too that probably gave up and started living their life and doing other things.
Yeah.
Wow. So 41, 40, you said 41, 43, that's when the ball starts to get rolling for you, right? What was it at the time?
Yeah, really. I mean, I was on Broadway when I was 35 after doing regional theater for many, many, many years and loving it. I mean, there was, people talk, what were those days like when you were struggling? And I mean, it never felt like a struggle to me because, again, I didn't have mouths to feed. I didn't have a family to support. It was just me. All I needed was a slice and a roof, I mean, maybe a beer, but I love those days doing a play in Buffalo for 6 weeks and then going back to New York and, selling beer in Central Park illegally, and playing softball and passing my days and getting another job and going to Boston for 2 months to do a Shakespeare play and then going down to Atlanta to do a musical. I mean, those were great days.
But along that path, you were still winning awards because we were going through your bio and your IMDb and all these things. You have a list of awards. We got to ask you about that because there's one award obviously that clearly changed the way people treat you. I imagine. Again,
by the way, is there a change in treatment that will make a guy like J.K. Simmons sort of roll his eyes? Because, like you said,
absolutely.
Like you've been doing it forever. Like
Yeah.
you said, I mean, people, you were a hell of an actor before fucking people realized it. But you probably must say, Academy because of that. Now you're
No, absolutely. I mean, I went from Hey You to J.K. to Mr. Simmons.
Yeah, I bet.
In kind of a hurry there, and really, once that. I mean, I won all the trophies that year, and once the big one, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, once they handed that out, it's like I can't. Every time I walk onto a sound stage now, you're coming into those double doors, and every time now I'm coming in and anybody else is coming out the other way, it's like I'm the king of France. It's like bow and scrape and Mr. Simmons, and I'm like, dude,
is it kind of awesome though?
Come on, you were here first. No, it's really. I mean,
it's got to be right.
Look,
Yeah.
there are obviously many aspects of that whole journey, and obviously the movie itself, Whiplash, that earned all those accolades.
We got to talk about that too.
That were 100% wonderful and golden, and in many ways creatively, certainly one of the best parts of my life. But the sort of sycophantic, aspect of being that Academy Award winner, J.K. Simmons is.
I mean, even the way, honest to God, let me be completely honest. The way we feel about it, if it was J.K. Simmons, the dude from Spider-Man or the yellow peanut, the yellow M&M, we would be like, oh yeah, come on in. But the fact that Academy,
in fact, our producer Spot hit us up with a text last night, and he goes, "Do some fucking prep. J.K. Simmons is coming in tomorrow." Now, honestly,
he's earned it.
Honestly, yeah, but
He's earned the prep.
Spot,
No, it's like
there's no question about it, but it comes with so much clout.
No, and it's like before that, I was like Ernie Banks. I was like a journeyman guy. I was doing a good job, I felt like, and always. But Ernie Banks never won.
That's our
he
point.
He never won a World Series.
You've always
so he
been
didn't
great.
have that ring, and
No.
is he still one of the greatest players in the history of the game? Absolutely,
Yes.
he is.
What about the other
Wow,
awards
that
you
sounded
won?
like super egotistical, didn't it?
No.
Like I was awesome before I won the award.
No, but the point we're making, and it's a great analogy.
we were just cracking up because all the awards. Our producer,
Look at that.
Our producer Spot was saying, "No, do each one of those awards come with a physical award? Do you have a shed of just all these awards sitting around?"
I got it. You know what? I mean, some of them are on display. Honestly, a lot of them are sitting on a shelf in the closet. But because I mean, it's not. What am I going to have a trophy room at my house for my acting trophies? I mean, that would be like such a lame thing to my former jock self. Like, really, you had to do that to get? I mean,
why not get rid of all of them? Just make one statue made of yourself.
Just get it all melted down and get a big
for the rest of the family to have, for generations.
I change the family stars and make a statue.
That is awesome. Your legacy will live in the Simmons, history, which is great.
Is there a part of that we do think about that, for people that are a success and do, provide for their family and the people that they love, is there a party that knows for generations ahead it'll all go back to, well, our family is pretty well off because of great grandpa JK? That's how.
Yeah,
That's
you know
a good
what I mean.
feeling.
I never sort of thought that far down the road. I mean, my wife and I, we both grew up sort of middle class, kind of barely middle class in a way. My dad was teaching public school and had 3 kids, and her parents were working hard and had 5 kids, and the universe that our kids are coming up in is so different, and I mean, my wife was working. She was opening the ballet studio when she was 13 years old. I was shoveling snow and mowing lawns, and when I was old enough, I was bussing tables, and we grew up with such a different work ethic than kids in our kids' demographic are growing up. So the big thing to us is it's hard to teach our kids a work ethic and an appreciation. And fortunately, our kids are awesome human beings, so they're not walking around snooty, entitled, bratty little private school LA kids. But yeah, it's a very different universe. And
DC or Marvel? Which universe
both,
are you raising them in?
Both.
Now, you said shoveling snow. I feel like when I was a kid, nothing made me happier than a snow day, because that was a money-making day.
Oh, yeah.
Shoveling when it was a big snowstorm. I remember I had one of my buddies and I would team up, and we're like, all right, at the time it was like $10 or $20 a driveway, and we would try to work it from like the morning on. Those are the days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, of course, back in my day, it was, 11 cents a driveway. But, yeah, no, I mean, we'd grab the shovel and head out the door and start hitting up all the neighbors. We had the regulars, and the real pains in the butt, like my house, that had a gravel driveway.
How do you shovel
dude.
gravel?
Gravel
driveway.
And, of course, everybody's driving some big, dumb rear-wheel drive boat, so, yeah.
We're here with J.K. Simmons, who obviously knows the hustle. He's shoveled some driveways. He's waited tables. He, was a voice actor, still is a voice actor. We knew him in Spider-Man. We knew him in a lot of things. And then he gets this role of a lifetime, which we all watched and we all knew right then and there. And by the way, you were in great shape for that movie as well, rocking that tight black T-shirt.
You know what? That was one of the few things that Damien, I mean, it was such a piece of genius on the page. And when I read both scripts, by the way, the short film and the feature that Damien had already written, I mean, I absolutely fell in love with the character and with his genius and everything. The one thing I asked him when we first met was he had the character in a sort of Men in Black, white shirt, black tie, black, that kind of uniform. And I was like, you know what? Like 5 years ago, I was a fat piece of poo, and now I'm kind of in shape.
You're
So what I think part of this character's sort of intimidation of these guys is that he could probably take most of them. So let's see if we can feature that in the wardrobe.
You were so fantastic. The movie was so great, and I have so many questions about that. Like in this movie, to achieve greatness, Miles Teller, has to sacrifice relationships and sacrifice a lot to achieve greatness. Do you think that is true in life? Because you're a guy that probably had to sacrifice a lot to get to where you are.
Well, you know what? Again, that was going back to what I was saying earlier. That's part of the good news about my success. My financial stability, at least, coming to me when it did. I'd already made the decision that I'm grown up enough now, and I've met the woman that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and it was never.
Your selfish years were back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. No, that makes sense.
I was sowing the oats and having a good time, and I was by the time I got married, I was grown up enough to hopefully be unselfish enough to be a halfway decent husband and father.
And your character in this movie, which won the award, was he an asshole? Or was he what was necessary?
Yeah, absolutely.
But I remember having this conversation. Like, was he awesome or an asshole or both?
Well, that's the thing. And that was the other thing that that Damien and I talked about that very first day when I met him. Was that that's the discussion you want people having on the way out of the theater. You don't want to don't want to make him a one-dimensional jerk. You don't want to make him the devil. But you also don't want to say yes, absolutely, this is the only way to achieve greatness. You want to have that debate. And I had friends, on coming down real hard, especially like hardcore musicians. At an orchestra conductor friend, Darko Budurak, who was emailing me like, yes, finally somebody gets it. This is what you have to do to get greatness.
Right.
And then other friends who was like, oh my God, you were the worst bastard in the world.
And we all kind of maybe because I feel like I worked for a guy that pushed me to those levels, and you could relate to it, and then you wonder, well, is that what is needed? And man, that movie itself inspired all those conversations. So congrats on that, because that was a life changer, and again, that introduced a lot of people to Miles Teller, who's a big star in his own right now.
Without a doubt. JK, you said you've been doing this for years. I just wonder. I feel like even when we were younger, even in like the 80s, there was a difference between a movie star, a TV star, and someone that did commercials. And now I feel like there is no hierarchy of people doing things. I think it's like work is work, and people are making money, and people admire the hustle more than anything. So I feel like, do you feel that same way? Because between commercials, between TV and movies, you're doing it all, but I don't think there's a hierarchy anymore.
No, I think, and I'm very fortunate for that. When they first came to me with the idea for Farmers Insurance, to be the professor of insurance. I really liked the idea. I liked the campaign. I thought it was clever and fun and everything. But I was a little concerned that it could potentially adversely affect my career, my hireability as a character actor in film and TV. And I sort of polled a lot of people whose opinions I respected, and everybody said, no, man, it's a different world now. And obviously, that's been a long-running and really fun and rewarding thing, along with the M&M. The voiceover thing has always been something you can get away with.
Since the 90s, right? You've been doing that since the 90s or something.
Oh, yeah,
like that,
we've been doing that. Billy West, the Red M&M, and I have been. It's 23 years now, I think.
That's crazy.
We've been doing
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
So it's weird. You must identify with the yellow M&M.
Oh, very much so.
You have JK over for a little get together. You got a bowl of M&Ms. He's like, yeah, yellow.
There I am, right there. I'm right there.
You know what's interesting about that is what you would put into a role like Whiplash or your new movie.
I'm not here.
What you would put into that. I'm not saying the voiceover stuff and the M&M stuff is easy, but I'd imagine there's a part of you that must be like, I'm getting paid so nicely for these commercials, but compared to the research and mindset I need to get in for these movie roles, it's so probably different.
It's very different, yeah, in a lot of ways. And believe me, the M&Ms and Farmers Insurance and things like that, they're going to pay more than I'm Not Here and Whiplash and every indie film I've ever done.
Wow,
put together,
that's got to be it's crazy in a way, right?
No, it's absolutely crazy. But that's, it's show business. It's art and it's commerce, and you do some of both. And a lot of the times the two, go hand in hand, and then you're extra lucky.
We're a lifestyle show, J.K. Simmons, and we talk a lot about fitness and stuff like that. And when you did the Commissioner Gordon stuff, you got shredded, really ripped. So is there motivation here for us?
Yeah, well, listen,
it's that one picture that lives on.
Yeah. Believe me, and my
buddy
buddy Aaron Williamson took that when we were working out together, and I got the Schwarzenegger arm blaster on there, so it kind of spreads out your triceps. Really super isolates your biceps. I'm not saying I'm not incredibly buff, but that was a good photographic opportunity, partly because I had just gotten super, super skinny for I'm Not Here. And
right, because that filmed a few years ago, right?
We shot almost 3 years ago.
Right.
And as with most indie films, and especially this one, my wife, Michelle Schumacher, co-wrote it, she directed it, she co-produced it, she edited it all on her own. She did craft services and props and everything else.
Oh, my goodness.
But she had asked me to get kind of emaciated to play this character, get kind of as scrawny as I could, because she basically wanted me to be naked and look bad, which is a little weird when your wife makes that request. But so I got super, super lean, and then right after that film, right after we finished shooting I'm Not Here, coming soon to a theater near you, March 8th, I was back in the gym, just trying to put on some muscle again. So that was
and all
that was good timing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, please, please.
No, but it's inspiring because like
tricks
Rich and I are thinking, well, there's still hope for us to get ripped someday. You know what I mean? Like someday.
Yeah. Maybe when you're 61, 62, you can hit the gym.
That's the most rip you've ever been, I imagine. No, even in your football days.
Yeah, and really that there was all this conjecture that it was all about Commissioner Gordon. It was just all about. Ever since I stopped being a fat piece of poo about a decade ago, I've just decided for my life, for my family, my wife, my kids, my ego, my health, my everything. I just, I want to be pretty fit. So it's been a little up and down since then, but yeah, I mean, I still push weights around in the gym and do my thing.
I'm just looking at all the feedback people saying, people calling you off all the different projects you've worked on that they've loved. Is there a movie or TV set that maybe you did 1 episode or 2 episode arc that just stuck out to you that we might not think, oh, J.K. Simmons, I don't even associate him with that? Like, was there an episode of, like, I'm looking at, like, Spin City with David Spade? You did an episode of that, or like
no, Spin City was Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox. I'm sorry. And
that was fun. That was my first like sitcom guest spot. I did. There's a couple little shows that spring to mind. One was Men at Work, a show that Breckin Meyer created that ran on TBS for a couple of years, and I did a guest spot and came back playing the same character a few times. That was
You've
really
done
fun.
that a lot. A lot of your characters live on.
Well,
right.
I mean, I do such incredibly brilliant work.
No, but that is-
we got to write some more for this dude.
I think that is a testament of what
well, you know
do.
what? I mean, thank you. It's also a testament to just, being a decent human being the way my parents raised their kids to be. And, if you show up at work and do your job and you're not a pain in the butt, people are going to want to have you back.
I'm so glad you said that. I wonder this sometimes. You go to a movie set, a radio studio, a TV studio somewhere, and you hear about people saying, that person's a pain in the ass. They're this. Do people that are a pain in the ass realize it? Because I wonder that.
No,
because,
you don't.
I do. I wonder sometimes, like, why some people don't realize that just be easy to work with and people will want to work with you.
Yeah. Well, no, and believe me, I'm sure there are some people out there shaking their heads going, Simmons, that guy was a real pain in my ass. But, I hope the times that I have been a pain have been, about, whatever.
Quality of project,
creative processing, blah, 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 and just not being a sort of a random diva or a raving jerk.
Oh, you know where I saw you recently? I'm just looking at all the movies and shows. Father Figures.
Oh, yeah.
that was a fun. I saw it on a plane recently. Comedy with a bunch of big names.
Yeah. It was Owen Wilson and Ed Helms, and Glenn Close played their mom. And,
They were trying to find who the dad was.
Terry Bradshaw, dude. How good was Terry Bradshaw in that movie?
He have acting chops or
he
what?
He was awesome. I mean, he's playing Terry Bradshaw, but
Yeah.
he was beautiful. He was hilarious.
Well, dude, again, you got so much stuff on your resume, and I want to talk about your bio. I don't even know what you call it. You've worked so much, and it's for a reason, because you are a good guy and you're super talented. And I was going to say this for off the air because you might not remember the reference, but I had a nanny that helped me out for a long time. She also worked for you, and she always spoke so highly of you. So I'm like, if he was always treating her this well, and she was always saying these nice things, he must be a really great guy. So I don't know if you remember Elsa, but Elsa used to speak so highly of you all the time. And
Elsa was our housekeeper, actually.
Yeah.
We never really had a nanny, but
Right.
she was our housekeeper for years. She's a great lady.
Right. And she would always be like, he was the greatest guy. She always talks so highly of you.
She doesn't say
Oh,
the same about you.
Clearly, she downgraded in life after she left your house and started helping me out. But I was gonna say that for off the air. But I've always heard nothing but great things.
No,
We're so
she was
glad
a
you're here.
sweetheart. She and my wife were real close, and that was. I mean, I think there probably were maybe chunks of an afternoon where she was watching the kids too, because that was about the time that our kids were little. I think they were in school by then, and my wife was just starting her career making short films and stuff. So we never had like a full-time nanny because my wife always wanted to be the mom. But yeah,
And now she wrote and directed this movie, right? March
Indeed.
8th. I'm Not Here. So there's a passion sort of project involved, right? The sense of that, because it's her baby, and you are in it. So how much is riding on this? I mean, personally for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is absolutely a passion project and something that's dear to my heart. I mean, it's easy to say, it would be anyway creatively, but
right.
I can't separate it from the fact that
It's you and your wife, yeah.
Yeah, my wife, she and her writing partner Tony Cummings came up with the idea. They put it down on paper, which took forever, and before they really had something they felt was right. And as with most indie films, you struggle to even get it made, and she shot it in I think 20 days, which is a ridiculously short amount of time to do the project. And I'm very proud of my work in it, of her work on it, and excited that finally March 8th it's going to be out in 20-some cities, and then anybody that's in a city where it's not playing can get it on VOD the same day.
Is this like is a heavy sort of vibe to it? Because you play an older guy who's looking back, right? He's looking back at his life, and he has, I guess, regrets and things like that, and trying to figure out.
Absolutely, as I think most guys that get to my age, I mean, hopefully not to the dramatic extent of this character, but you always got things you look back on and go, wow, I could have done that differently. I could have been less of a selfish pig about this or that or whatever it may be. And also, we see the same character at 3 different ages. So I play him for, basically a third of the movie, and we jump back and forth. Sebastian Stan plays him as a 20-something, the good-looking version of the character.
Right.
And then probably the most famous actor in the movie is Ian Armitage, who is now young Sheldon.
Plays you as a kid.
At the time, he plays me as a 5-year-old. I mean, and we shot this like a year before, the whole young Sheldon thing even blew up.
Oh,
and
wow.
He's a really good little actor.
Oh,
Right.
he's fantastic. 2 other people in this movie that I'm a big fan of, Mandy Moore.
Absolutely, yeah. Who plays
This Is
my
Us.
mom, which is,
But
kind of weird, but
she plays the mom on This Is Us. I
Yeah.
think she's
No, she's
fantastic there.
brilliant.
And Max Greenfield, I think of as hilarious.
Dude, who plays my dad,
Yeah.
which is also weird. Max and I just worked together on,
That's funny.
there's a Veronica Mars reboot that is just about to finish shooting this week. And, so Max and I have crossed paths a few times. No, it's a great cast. Yeah, all those names you mentioned, and Micah Monroe, and then some pals of mine came in to do cameos, David Koechner and Harold Perrineau, and it's a beautiful, deep cast.
Again, I'm not here March 8th. You got to check it out. And Rich, I know you have more questions, but my question too, when you got so much going on, I'm just wondering, how do you stay so motivated when you have all these different projects and things to promote?
Well, I think, there are 2 things. I mean, first of all, as we were talking about before, we do this for a living. And even though, my kids are growing up way better off than I did, my kids are both probably moving to New York in the next little while. My wife and I are going to go stalk them. So,
Right.
So we got to go buy a condo in Manhattan, and those aren't cheap,
Yeah.
So there is just continuing to sort of be productive and earn a living and take care of your family, but also creatively, I think, actors are especially fortunate. Actors who have had a modicum of success. To be able to, keep evolving and keep growing artistically and learning and hopefully being involved in, really meaningful projects or whatever. Occasionally just a really funny, goofy project too. But, to keep expanding your horizons, it's a great way to, stay young-ish.
Yeah, no, I know. Because I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, Rich, you and I are working to get to a point where we could be lazy someday.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, maybe we'll never ever get to that
Maybe
point.
you don't want to do it.
Yeah, maybe you don't want to get to
No,
that point.
as
Maybe
long as
you're
they can
motivated.
wheel you up to the microphone,
exactly,
you can
right?
do this thing.
I wonder, there's a lot of parenting advice out there, but we both have daughters, and you're a dad with some, you got some something on the dad resume now. Your kids are grown. And is there one piece of universal advice that you feel like it was something that led you through the whole parent process so far?
Well, this I'll bore you with a few things. There was somebody, and my wife and I don't remember who to attribute this to, but our kids are 2.5 years apart roughly, and we were in that stage, and 99% her because I was off making a living most of the time, but. In that stage where you got a 3.5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and of course the 3.5-year-old's a boy, so he's still in diapers. So you got 2 car seats and 2 sets of diapers and 2 different nap schedules and everything. I mean, and those days are hectic, and the best piece of advice we got from somebody, well, not even advice, just sort of perspective, and this was at the playground. The days. When you have little kids, the days are long, but the years are short. I mean, you blink.
That's so true.
And
Yeah.
your little girls,
Damn.
however old they are, you
Yeah.
blink. Our girl's a senior in high school now. She's in the school play. She wants to go to acting school. I don't know what we did wrong there. Our son's off at college now. He's a musician studying in New York. I mean, it's like a blink. It's like if I could have them 2 and 4 years old again, and have them bore the crap out of me, for a day with, read me this book the 90 billionth time and all that. I mean, those, and it's not like we didn't realize that at the time. I mean, we were there, we were present.
You can realize
with
it
our
all
kids.
day, but it still goes.
Yeah. It's and it's like. It's the same thing to me with both extremes of the age range, little kids and your old people, your grandma, your grandpa, your parents as you age, your aunts, your whatever. Listen to them, and they may be talking nonsense half the time. Little kids certainly do. Sometimes older people do, but be there with them and listen. That's the best way you show love, I think.
I love that. J.K. Simmons here on the Covino Rich Show. A lot of people know you, besides Whiplash, a million projects you've done. Law and Order, and a lot of people hitting us up saying they loved you on Oz. And sorry to be, I hope I'm not the bearer of bad news, but someone you worked with on Oz, Luke Perry, passed away this morning.
Oh, I did not know
at
that.
52.
Yes.
I don't want to be the jerk that brings it up, but
we were really bummed.
we
to hear
saw that
too.
early, and before you came here, we were saying what a great guy. Every time we've met him
He
on the
was an
show,
absolute sweetheart.
Yeah, really was.
that
It goes along with
I'm
everything.
so sorry for Luke's
I
family.
know. It goes
Yeah.
along with what we're saying too, though. To appreciate
every moment.
In the even though you know it in the moment, like you really gotta think about it.
No, and I know, among other things, I know that his kids knew he loved him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Only 52 years old, which really stinks. So, sorry to tell you that here on the air.
Yeah, so to
We
bring
thought
down the
maybe you
buzz,
knew.
just a lot of people hitting us up saying he worked with you on Oz, and was that
Yeah, I would have never connected the two.
was that a I mean, obviously a big thing for you. Oz was one of those
Oz was,
HBO Sunday night type deals that sort of changed television, right? Would you say like that was one of those HBO Sunday night shows that everyone wanted to watch?
Well, it was the original. I mean,
Yeah.
Oz was the first original drama on pay cable.
And then you say that, and then after that, The Sopranos.
Right,
Like
Sopranos
that sort of
came along a year later and
those
stole
shows-
Edie Falco from us. And, yeah, I mean, all credit to Tom Fontana, who first of all, going back to Luke, Tom brought in people on that show. First of all, most of us that he hired as regulars were just a bunch of theater guys in New York that really hadn't done a whole lot. That was the first time I went from fat to pretty fit.
You know,
too,
it's
by
funny
the
you
way.
say
The
that.
first year of
I've
Oz,
never
I
seen
was
you as fat though. I've never.
Oh, dude, no, I was a
Really?
fat piece of poo in season one.
name
Yeah,
is-
that's season one right
You're
there.
not fat though. Like you still.
No, dude, I was.
Yeah?
I was. Yeah.
I think when
And
you're,
then-
when you're
and then
saying
I-
fat, fat's like dad bod. Like,
Yeah, it was very dad bod. Yeah, it was very. Yeah, and I watched the first season of Oz, and I was like, I don't believe that guy is the head of the Aryan Brotherhood, that doughboy. So I got into the gym, and that was the first time, and then 15 years later, I let myself go again. But off subject, the Land of Oz was a beautiful place, and Tom Fontana, who is the best boss in the history of show business, and still a great showrunner, and still out there creating great content. But he was a real sort of father figure or big brother figure to all of us, and loved actors, and hired a great group of guys, and then kept bringing in all these people. And I mean, he would bring in like Broadway divas, and he would bring in like, Luke Perry to come into the Land of Oz and do several episodes, and everybody's like, are you kidding me? The 90210 pretty
Yeah.
boy? What the, And Luke comes in and just, knocks it out of the park and does a great job. And like so many of the, really successful actors who came and guested on that show, was just a great guy and a team player. And Fontana just really know what he was doing at the time. And my wife, all the way. Here we go. Here's a 1 degree of separation. We're here talking about the movie I'm Not Here that Michelle Schumacher wrote and directed.
Yeah.
Our son was born after the first year, I think, of Oz. And then Tom hired my wife to play, because she started out as an actor. We met doing theater together. He hired her to do a recurring character in I think the 3rd and 4th seasons, or 2nd and 3rd. And during the break in between, let's say, year 3 and 4, he used to always call all the regulars and just kind of chat about, here's what I'm thinking. Do you have any ideas for where your character might go, and blah, 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 blah. So we're talking on the phone, and I go, and I know why, because her character was going to wow, this is like the ultimate digression here. But trust me, it's kind of a good story.
Yeah.
So her character was supposed to had this jailhouse romance, and she was supposed to marry this character, Agamemnon Busmalis. And And then she stands him up at the altar at the end of the season, and everybody's like, "What happened? What happened?" So I'm talking to Tom about ideas for the story next year, and I go, "Oh, and I know why Norma didn't show up, and didn't stood him up at the altar." And he goes, "Oh, okay, what do you got?" And I go, "She's pregnant," and he goes, "Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's interesting, yeah, let me think about that." And I go, "No, Tom, she's pregnant."
Right.
So he brings back my wife like 7 months pregnant to apologize for getting knocked up.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
That's great.
Man, I'm all the feedback, man. Everyone's like, I love JK in The Accountant. I love him.
There she is. Oh my God, I
Look at
haven't seen
that.
that picture in forever. That's Michelle Schumacher as Norma Clark on Oz.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, real quick, I know you got to run a second. J.K. Simmons on Covino Rich.
Yeah, I got way more important stuff to do than sit here and talk to you guys. Come on.
I think absolutely. I'm sure you do. I'm Not Here is a new movie. Is it crazy to you from the start of your career to now where people get content like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, all the streaming services, the theater, on demand? Like this movie, if you can't get to the theater, you could get it on demand. Like the options are so
that's
all over the place
fantastic.
now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and of course for filmmakers, especially like indie filmmakers like Michelle, it's a mixed bag because there's a billion times more content out there. But yeah, fortunately, there are all these other platforms to do, and this is kind of the current wave. I think is that indie films that that you don't have the studio backing and all the marketing money and blah blah blah. You can come out in theaters. I think we're coming out in 22, 23 cities, including New York and LA, and most of the Chicago. But yeah, the same day, anybody who's anywhere in the world can get it on video on demand, which is a beautiful thing.
All right. Well, I'd say hit him up on social media, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't
I don't
social
do that,
media.
but you can just go "I'm Not Here" movie and do your
there you
social
go.
media thing and give us 10 stars and
I'm Not
enjoy
Here
the movie.
and guys, mark it down, March 8th, because it's in theaters and you can catch it on demand. So really, no excuses to not check this one out. And we're really glad you stopped by our show, man.
Thank you so much.
Finally, we're
Thank you.
such big fans.
My pleasure.
Thank you, guys. J.K. Simmons.
Thank you.